Hey, Devondre, welcome to the party, pal. I got benched multiple times. That's what happens when the team thinks somebody's better than you. You know what you do? When Greenlaw gets hurt, you go in and you ball out and you show them that they were wrong.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday, presented, of course, by DraftKings. I am Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Most of you know that now. It enabled me to get a bunch of these broadcasting gigs, and I have a whole podcast network, which is very, very cool. Tuesdays, always a special day because it's the Even Money Betting Podcast Day, which is probably our most popular show during the NFL season. Ross Tucker Football Podcast is daily. We'll have Fantasy Feast next couple days. Hopefully you checked out College Draft Podcast. A lot of conversation about the Heisman, Army, Navy, transfer portal, but also Emory made his picks for all 4 college football playoff games coming up this weekend, which is very exciting. I got in on that mix as well for a couple of them. Definitely like Clemson. Definitely love Power Rankings Tuesday because it's absolutely awesome to be able to talk about every single team, including the 4 teams that played last night, as the NFL did that doubleheader Monday night thing that I'm still not sure I totally understand, but smarter people than me, I'm quite sure, have logic behind it. We'll get to every team, every game, or every power ranking, but first, it's the Monday Night Football recaps. They're presented by Labatt Blue Light. Drink Labatt Blue Light with your friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer. Labatt USA. Buffalo, New York. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross, we first start with the Vikings, who stopped the Chicago Bears, and they now tie Detroit for the lead in the NFC North with a 30-12 win.
It's just incredible, isn't it? To think that Sam Darnold and the Vikings, I mean, you can go back before the season. I don't know if we do it here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, but certainly on the Even Money Betting Podcast. No chance that I think the Vikings would be in this position. A ton of credit goes to their general manager, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, their head coach, Kevin O'Connell. It's very, very impressive. By the way, I almost just called him Jack O'Connell. I almost just called Kevin O'Connell Jack O'Connell. For those of you, none of you even know, but Jack's last name is Connell. I don't know how you would know that. So I don't know why, because I think I see Jack Connell in my email, my text all day, every day. So I was about to call the Vikings head coach Jack O'Connell. That is awesome. So Vikings got off to a quick start, right? I mean, they go down, field goal, go down, touchdown, Justin Jefferson. But then it felt like it was 10-0 for a while. The Bears, you know, first of all, I thought, and I said this on social media last night. Oh, I should have told you. You can follow us at Ross Tucker Pod. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. But the Bears, you know, I thought Troy Aikman made a great point last night when he said sacks are, in a large part, a quarterback stat. I totally agree. I think pressures are on the offensive line, right? Like the guy beats you, you know, pressure, win rate, success rate, all those things. But whether or not the quarterback throws the ball for a completion or just throws the ball away or takes the sack, a lot of that is on the quarterback. And the Bears are a pretty good example of that. I think it's because Caleb Williams is trying to make a play, and he's so used to, from high school and college, being able to make people miss, escape, buy time, and make a play. It just doesn't work nearly as well for him in the NFL. And we saw that. Now, they were especially undermanned last night. They had Amagadejie, the rookie left tackle from Yale, starting against Grenard. at left tackle. Let me just tell you, that's a rough first start. Monday Night Football on the road in a loud place like that in Minnesota, that is tough. He did not play in environments like that at Yale, I can assure you. And he got hurt last year. He's coming off of an injury, which makes it even tougher. I will say this, though. The Bears, I thought defensively hung in there for a while. Felt like the Vikings weren't really able to move it. Now, Justin Jefferson dropped what would have been a very easy touchdown. You just never see that. The Bears have the receivers. Bears skill guys are fine. They're not good enough up front, especially with, I guess, Braxton Jones on Friday reported concussion symptoms. So that means Amagadeji, I think he started, Jack, without even getting any reps with the ones during the week. I mean, that is like worst case scenario, but that's how it works sometimes in pro football. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I didn't think it was an overly impressive win by the Vikings, but they won by like 20 points. I don't even know what that means.
Well, the second game, it wasn't pretty, but the Falcons, they did just enough to get a much-needed win over the Raiders, 15-9.
Unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable. And I'm saying that because, yes, for the Even Money podcast, I had the Raiders getting 4.5 points. Like, the fact that they couldn't cover that game, the way Kirk Cousins and the Falcons looked, that is brutal. Cousins was 11 of 17 for 112 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The good news for the Falcons is they ran it pretty effectively, which to me is another negative for the Raiders. The way Cousins had been playing, the last thing you could do is allow them to run it effectively, right? Like, make Kirk Cousins beat you. He did throw the touchdown pass to Drake London on that double move, but Bijan Robinson had a big night. Tyler Algier chipped in. They have a good, by the way, they have a good 1-2 punch there. You know, kind of like thunder and lightning. Algier's the thunder and Bijan's the lightning. But other than the Drake London touchdown, they kept bogging down in the red zone, did the Falcons. For the Raiders, they're just such a tough watch. Desmond Ritter's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. I'm not even sure he's a good number 2. I mean, he's this week he kind of knew he was going to start. He got all the reps. You would think he would have been able to do more than that. Even late in the game, that was kind of ugly. And so the Falcons stay alive. That's the big message from this game. The Falcons stay alive, but they still don't look great other than they ran it very effectively with Bijan Robinson.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
All right, let's kick off our power rankings. 32nd is the New York Giants.
They've been 32nd for over a month now. I think they're clearly the worst team in the NFL. And I think I have so much respect for John Mara, their owner. Really like him as a person. I know he doesn't want to just be seen as a guy that's constantly swapping people out. I think he should definitely move on from Joe Schoen. I don't think Joe Schoen's done a good job for them. I think Daboll is a little bit more debatable because of what he's had to work with, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
31st is the Tennessee Titans.
So, 2 things got announced yesterday. Number 1, I officially have the Titans-Colts game on Sunday. So I haven't been to Indy in a long time. I'm going to be there, by the way, in Indianapolis for Notre Dame, Indiana. Like, that city's going to be hopping. If they're not at Notre Dame, they're going to be, every bar is going to have that on going crazy. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might go to a bar. I don't know who I'm rooting for, though. But I want to go to a bar and act like I'm so into one team or the other. Like, I never get to do that. And just having other people be mad at me. Be like, yes, let's go Hoosiers. Let's go. Like, act like I care. Although I can't do that because my boy Max Hurleman from Why Missing is balling for Notre Dame. So that'll be interesting, though. Maybe I'll go to an Indiana bar as a big Notre Dame fan. It could get ugly. But anyway, I'm doing Titans Colts, and the Titans aren't saying who their quarterback is, which almost always means they're switching to the other guy, which would be Mason Rudolph, which would mean that Levis is done with the Titans, which I think we probably already know. He's been benched multiple times. He played pretty well for the most part, I thought, in that game against the Texans I called a few weeks ago. So we'll see. I'm expecting it to be Mason Rudolph, with Callahan saying he needs to take a couple days to do it. Although, I don't know. I'd kind of just see what Levis can do for the next 3 games. Although the flip side of that is, I think they've already kind of made their decision. So you don't want Levis to go out and ball out the last 3 games, unless you want to trade him. Man, as I'm talking to you, there's a lot of different possibilities here.
After last night's game, the Las Vegas Raiders are 30.
Yeah, I'm bummed out about that because I think Mark Davis is going to fire my former teammate Antonio Pierce, who I like a lot as a person and as a teammate. It's been a rough year. It's just like you get one shot maybe as a head coach, and your quarterbacks are Minshew, and then he gets hurt, who at least gives you a chance. Aiden O'Connell and Desmond Ridder. Just a rough go of it for Antonio Pierce.
29th is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They had a real chance to win that game against the Jets, to have some momentum, to win multiple games. They couldn't stop. I mean, that was really first time I can remember this year where their defense really totally let them down as opposed to the offense. I will be in Indianapolis, so I will not be able to go to the Penn State playoff game. I'm looking, though, because everybody's talking about it. You can actually get in on the Game Time app for $75, and you can get really decent seats, like $150, $123. It's very, very affordable. Anybody in Central PA, you ever want to go to a big playoff game? Use the Game Time app. I love their Game Time picks, where they make it easier to save on sports, concerts, comedy, theater. You know how I feel about the all-in pricing, the view from the seat, lowest price guarantee. It's pretty awesome. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ROSS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, so again, create an account and redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. A lot of holiday parties going on. Hopefully everywhere you go, or certainly if you're hosting the party, they have Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. Obviously, more opportunities this year to watch football and make delicious Smirnoff cocktails than ever before. We already had Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Now there's 2 games on Christmas. Then you got the Saturday games after that. This holiday season, when you're enjoying the game and your cocktails, please make sure to drink responsibly. Take a minute, make a plan, never drive impaired. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff #21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
28th, Patriots.
They just have the worst roster in the NFL, but unlike at least 3 of the 4 teams behind them, they clearly have their franchise quarterback. So the reason why I'm saying that is you can pretty quickly go from 28 to like 15 next year if you build the right people around him having the franchise quarterback that they do.
27th is the Chicago Bears.
The Bears. So just an incredibly disappointing year for the Bears. I mean, even last night, they score a touchdown, and they had a lineman not report as eligible. It's been a bad coaching year for the Bears. Bad. Like, if they had decent coaching this year, I feel like they would have won at least 2 more games, maybe 3. Definitely 2 more games if they had league average coaches this year, I feel like.
26th is the New York Jets.
Well, we made Devontae Adams my 11 Oaks hungriest performance of the week last week, and he deserved it. That was super impressive what the Jets did on the road, find a way to get the win over the Jags. I like when guys show pride. I like when guys, do what the Jets did. That says a lot to me, quite frankly, about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. And I have a healthy appreciation for what those guys did.
25th is Cleveland Browns.
The Browns are also debating who they're going to go with at quarterback. I think they should go with DTR. I think they have a pretty good feel now for what Jameis is, whether or not they want to bring him back next year. But I think they know the deal. I would use these last 3 games to see what DTR can do with like a decent sample size. Maybe DTR is good enough to be the number 2 next year, but you got to give him these 3 games, I think, to find that out.
24th is the Carolina Panthers.
Incredibly disappointing performance against the Cowboys, and really stunningly so, right? They had been playing well. Cowboys short week, just lost. Their season was over Monday night against the Bengals, and then they come out and whip that you-know-what? I mean, kudos to the Cowboys. We'll get to them in a little bit, but I was not expecting the Panthers to lay an egg. I mean, they were that was a golden opportunity for them to get a win.
23rd, Atlanta Falcons.
Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to catch the Bucs to me. I mean, they're only a game away, and interestingly, they beat them twice this year. So they have the tiebreaker, but man, I mean, the Bucs seem like the much better team right now. Much better team.
22nd, Indianapolis Colts.
Going to see them up close and personal. I am a big believer in their head coach, Shane Steichen, based on what I saw him do with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles when they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So looking forward to visiting with Shane and really diving into the Colts. I'm going to watch the entire Colts-Broncos game today because I'm doing Broncos-Chargers Thursday night on radio, and then Colts-Titans Sundays. That's a twofer for me. That's nice. So I'm going to watch that entire game today, again, like play by play, so that I make sure I have a really good feel for where the Colts are at.
21st is the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, when the Saints come marching in. Oh, when the Saints come marching in. Listen, I don't think they would give him the full-time job, but I really think that their head coach, Rizzi, has showed me something. The way he's gotten them to play, even that comeback against the Commanders after he went ahead and benched Haener for Rattler. I guess the flip side is you could say he made the wrong decision going with Haener, but he's at least gotten those guys to play hard, which I appreciate.
20th is the Dallas Cowboys.
That was a super impressive win to me. It felt like the season was over. Mike McCarthy still got those guys ready to go on short notice. He got them going out. They played their you-know-whats off. They played well. They were physical. I'm impressed by the job Mike McCarthy has done this year.
19th, Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals are heating up a little bit now, right? I think that's is that a couple wins in a row? They beat the Cowboys. Then they beat the Titans. They're putting up 30-some points a game right now. It's just a shame that their defense was as bad as it was earlier in the year to not really give them a chance to be a playoff team.
A team in the news is the 49ers, who are 18th.
Well, they're in the news because they're suspending linebacker Devondre Campbell for the rest of the season. Yeah, I'm going to make this my Labatt take of the week, Jack. I don't know if I'll have something else that I feel this strongly about later on. It's presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly beer. Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I am fully supportive of players that hold out to try to get a better contract, or guys that hold in to try to get the financial security that they feel like they've earned. That's not what Devondre Campbell did. That's not this at all. I mean, all he did was hurt his team and himself. This wasn't a contract issue. This was a hurt feelings issue because he got benched, because Dre Greenlaw came back from injury, and the Niners think Dre Greenlaw is better. Hey, Devondre, welcome to the party, pal. I got benched multiple times. That's what happens when the team thinks somebody's better than you. You know what you do? When Greenlaw gets hurt, you go in and you ball out and you show them that they were wrong. You don't refuse to go in the game. Refuse to go in the game, you're basically being a traitor to the rest of your team. And also, you just sabotage the rest of your career. You miss out on all the money for the suspension the next 3 weeks. And then who's going to want to really give you a nice contract this offseason? Just an asinine move on a lot of levels.
17th, Arizona Cardinals.
So that was a solid win. You know, the Cardinals, it's funny. There's a bunch of teams in their category, right? Like Cardinals 7-7, Falcons 7-7, where you don't really know how to feel about them, but we'll feel a lot differently about both of them based on how they finish the rest of this season. Cardinals are a year away from a roster standpoint from really being a competitor.
16th, Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, number 16. They're also done, right? Like their season's over. They're not going to be in the playoffs. They had, listen, the Tua injury part was a big factor, but they've lost 4 games since then now, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves. This is not like, it's not just that Tua got hurt. Tua getting hurt is why they're not in the mix now, but they've lost plenty of games with a healthy Tua.
15th is the Chargers.
San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers. All right, looking forward to seeing them up close and personal Thursday night. They have not played well over the last month. They got to get turned around, and this game against Denver would be a great, great time to do it.
14th is the Rams.
Rams are, right now, they're in first place in the NFC West. Sean McVay can just flat out coach because they've had a bunch of injuries. They're probably a year away, I think, from being a legit contender from a roster standpoint, too. But he has them in the mix, as always.
13th, Texans.
It wasn't like a super impressive win by the Texans, but they beat a decent Dolphins team. They've won 2 in a row now. They've clinched the division, and now it's all about seeding.
12th, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You know, the Bucs are actually, I think are they the biggest upgrade, Jack?
They are.
Okay, they moved up 3 spots, and deservingly so. So they're my biggest upgrade this week. Presented by West Shore Home. Upgrade your bathroom or entry door with West Shore Home. Get 25% off your entire project when you visit westshorehome.com/Ross. The Bucs are a different team when they have Mike Evans. The Bucs are kind of like the Rams with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. When they have Mike Evans, they have a puncher's chance in every game. And these teams, if they all get in, Bucs, Rams, they're going to make the NFC playoffs very interesting because they are absolutely good enough to win a game or two.
11th, Washington Commanders.
Commanders, boy, that was close. That could have been real bad for them. They still have a shot here in the NFC East. Probably unlikely, but it starts with them having to beat the Eagles at home on Sunday.
10th, Seahawks.
So the Seahawks, that was a really surprising loss, I would say. Not that they lost the game, but just the manner in which they lost the game. I mean, they got worked by the Packers. I was not expecting that, especially not at home, the way Seattle had been playing.
9th, Denver Broncos.
That's a really cool thing about Thursday night is getting a chance to see 2 teams I haven't watched a lot of this year, the Chargers and Broncos, in terms of like watching every snap. But I'll watch full games before Thursday night. Then I'll see them in person. Very much looking forward to that.
8th, Pittsburgh Steelers.
So the Steelers, look, I don't think there's a lot of shame in the loss to the Eagles, especially without George Pickens. They're clearly a much better team with him. But I think it did show that perhaps they're not at that level, right? They're not at the elite level. Maybe they're tier 2.
7th, Baltimore Ravens.
Juicy matchup on Saturday. There's a couple good ones. Texans Chiefs will be good, and Ravens Steelers. I'm not thrilled that these games are the same time as the college football playoff. Kind of wish we could have figured out something better there. But at any rate, Ravens Steelers, always love it. Always have something to say about it on the Even Money Betting Podcast, that's for sure, depending on what the spread is.
6th is the Packers.
Dun, 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 dun. Go, Pack, go. That's what I think Sunday night was for the Packers. I think that was them announcing their presence with authority that they are going to be a major factor in the NFC postseason. I think all these teams have a puncher's chance. You know, Packers, Vikings, I mean, even the aforementioned Bucks and Rams, there's no teams that are going to make the playoffs that you're like, nah, they shouldn't be in it.
5th is the Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings, already kind of talked about them. We know the deal. They got an impressive squad. I don't know that they're quite there with the Eagles or the Lions, although with the Lions having all these injuries, maybe they are.
Speaking of which, 4th, the Lions.
So they dropped 3 spots. It's not just because they got beat by the Bills. It's also because of the 3 more injuries, including the David Montgomery one, which is another killer.
3rd, Chiefs.
Chiefs are a little bit beat up too. Curious to see what happens with Mahomes over these next 2 short week games.
2nd, Buffalo Bills.
Wow. I mean, Josh Allen's clearly the MVP to me. He has been phenomenal. I love watching that dude play. He's carrying that team on his back.
1st, Philadelphia Eagles.
First time all year. Listen, you have a beatdown of the Steelers physically like the Eagles had up front, both sides of the ball. They have absolutely earned it. E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. It is not too late. You absolutely can still get a loved one the best holiday gift of all time. myfrontpagestory.com, backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture.